They called him insane. The newspapers said he'd lost his mind. Even his own generals thought he was broken beyond repair. But what if his madness was the key? In the winter of 1861, William Tecumseh Sherman was dragged home in disgrace. He couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, trembling over maps as phantom armies closed in, haunted by visions so total it would scorch America from map to memory. 3 years later, that same broken man would lead 60,000 men into the heart of the South. No supply lines, no mercy, just fire and a fist of iron. This is the story of how a mental collapse forged the most ruthless commander of the Civil War, and why the South still whispers his name like a curse. But before we begin, be sure to like and subscribe to our channel to support our community. General William T. Sherman, insane. That headline screamed from the Cincinnati Chronicle on a cold November day in 1861. Just months into the Civil War, one of the Union's most promising commanders was being shipped home to Ohio in disgrace. His peers called him paranoid. His staff whispered he'd lost his mind. Even Sherman himself wondered aloud. In these times, it is hard to say who are sane and who are insane. But Sherman's story doesn't start here. Rewind to 1857. Picture a broken man in San Francisco, hunched over ledgers in a bankrupt bank. Outside, creditors pounded on frosted windows as he scrawled desperate pleas to his brother. "I am doomed to be a vagabond." This was Sherman before the war, a West Point graduate who'd resigned his commission, failed in banking, flopped as a lawyer in Kansas, and watched his reputation crumble. When Louisiana seceded in 1861, he quit his post as a military academy superintendent, writing bitterly, "You people of the South don't know what you are doing." He knew war would be catastrophic, and it broke him. Back to Kentucky, fall 1861. Sherman, now a Brigadier General, is tasked with defending a state split between North and South. He's consumed by dread. By day, he paces Louisville's Galt House Hotel, coat unbuttoned, cigar ash trailing. His hands trembled so violently that whiskey sloshed from his glass onto war maps. By night, he stalks the corridors, muttering about phantom Confederate armies. Reporters watch him twitch his red beard, drum his fingers wildly, and rant, 200,000 men. We need 200,000 men to hold this line. Secretary of War Simon Cameron visits, hears Sherman's dire predictions, and leaves alarmed. Soon the press brands him Crazy Sherman. One journalist writes, "He's a bundle of nerves strung to their highest tension." By November, he's relieved of command. His wife, Ellen, races south to collect her shattered husband. What Ellen Ewing Sherman found was chilling. Sherman hadn't slept or eaten properly for weeks. His uniform hung loose, feverish eyes darted at shadows. He believed the nation was doomed, and himself a failure. "I am up all night," he confessed to her. "I find myself riding a whirlwind, unable to guide the storm. This nearly makes me crazy. Indeed, I may be so now." Ellen knew this darkness. She'd seen it before, in California after his bank collapsed, and in the haunted eyes of his melancholic uncle. This was more than stress. This was a genetic curse, what doctors then called melancholia, and we'd recognize as bipolar disorder. She took him home to Ohio. No doctors, no medicines, just silence, Shakespeare, and sleep. Night after night, she read him King Lear, a tragic mirror to his unraveling. For 3 weeks, she anchored him. By December, a flicker of the old Sherman returns. He reports to Missouri for a desk job, organizing supplies. It's here he meets Ulysses S. Grant. Grant, battling his own demons, whispers called him a drunk, sees past Sherman's stigma. Over shared whiskey, they forged an unspoken pact between damaged men. He needs a logistician for his Tennessee campaign. Sherman seizes the chance. At Shiloh in April 1862, all doubts shatter. Confederate troops surge from the woods, overrunning Union camps. Sherman's division is blindsided. A Minié ball tears through his hand. Bone glinted white in the mangled flesh, yet he kept riding. Another grazes his shoulder. Blood soaks his uniform, but instead of crumbling, he rallies his men, shouting, "Hold the line! We can whip 'em!" He rides back and forth under fire, cool and decisive. By day's end, his shattered glasses are a symbol of resilience. Grant, impressed, writes, "Sherman saved the day." The man labeled insane months earlier had become Grant's rock. What changed? Sherman's breakdown forged a terrifying clarity. He saw the Civil War not as a chess match, but as a psychological siege. War is cruelty, he'd say. The crueler it is, the sooner it will be over. His manic energy now had direction. Break the South's will to fight. No more gentlemanly battles. This was total war. Fast forward to 1864. Sherman takes Atlanta. Then he does the unthinkable. He cuts his supply lines. 60,000 men vanish into Georgia wilderness with 20 days' rations. Their mission? Live off the land, destroy everything else. Rails heated and twisted into Sherman's neckties. Barns burned. A farmer's diary recorded. They left only chimneys weeping smoke, cotton gins smashed, a 60-mile-wide scar. Georgians whisper, "The devil is coming." One moment captures his chilling calculus. As flames consume a Georgia plantation, a sobbing woman confronts him. "How can you burn a home?" Sherman replies, "Madam, we must make this a barren waste till your sons stop fighting." Behind them, soldiers threw family portraits onto bonfires, silent faces curling to ash. He wasn't just a soldier, he was a strategist of despair, using the trauma of his own collapse to break a nation's spirit. When he telegraphs Lincoln, "I beg to present you Savannah as a Christmas gift. It's the triumph of a man reborn in fire." Yet the ghosts lingered. After Columbia, South Carolina, burns in 1865. Confederates lit the first fires, but Sherman's men fed them. He writes, "I am tired and sick of war. Its glory is all moonshine." For decades, he'd wake gasping from dreams of burning children. Psychiatrist Nasser Gamey sees Sherman's breakdown as key. Depression gifted him realism. Mania fueled relentless energy. His madness forged the empathy to understand Southern morale and the ruthlessness to crush it. Yet the ghosts lingered. Remember the banker who broke, the general who wept, the insane commander who marched 60,000 men into hell and changed America forever. Sherman survived the war, survived the whispers, but his march never truly ended. It lives in the scarred earth of Georgia, in the chimneys that once wept smoke, in the twisted rails buried under kudzu, in the nightmares of a nation forced to heal. Was he a monster, a prophet, or something more human? A broken man who weaponized his own darkness to stop a war. His truth lies not in statues or curses, but in the terrifying lesson he carved into history. Sometimes madness is the only sanity war understands.